Yes! Oh. Hello everyone. This is Aegon of Astora, still catching his breath. And welcome back to my blind playthrough of Dark Souls 3: The Ring City. This is episode number 9, being recorded on Tuesday the 28th of March. I hope you're all having a fantastic day whenever it is you find yourself watching this. So as usual, when I've defeated a boss that has been giving me trouble for a while, and I've been fighting this boss for about 45 minutes now, and you can see we only have 2 embers left, pathetically, but I need a sec to catch my breath. Oh my gosh, what a boss fight. Like, you have no time to breathe in the second phase whatsoever. Oh, okay. Lore stuff. So we got the Soul of Slave Knight Gale, which indeed looks like the Dark Soul. Looks like humanity from Dark Souls 1. Soul of Slave Knight Gale, one of the twisted souls steeped in strength, used to acquire many souls or transposed to extract its true strength. The red-hooded, wandering slave knight Gale sought the blood of the Dark Soul as pigment for the painted world, but Gale knew he was no champion, that the Dark Soul would likely ruin him, and that he had little hope of a safe return. So, Gale knew. He knew what was going to happen. He knew he was going to fight us because, for one reason or another, he couldn't bear the Dark Soul. It was too much for him. The Dark corrupted him. So, in contrast to what I was saying previously about, Gale not being my friend anymore and being upset about that, it actually does seem somewhat noble what he did, because he knew that this was needed for one reason or another. That's still something I don't quite understand, why the Dark Soul is needed as a pigment for a new painted world. But he knew he needed it, and he knew he would need to come here to get it for whatever reason. But he also knew that it would corrupt him, and that he needed us to come destroy him, kill him, and take it from him so that we could deliver it to his lady. First she needed to see flame, and then she needed to see the Dark Soul. So that is, quite fascinating. But we also have Blood of the Dark Soul. Blood of the Dark Soul that seeped from the hole within Slave Knight Gale, used as pigment by his lady in Ariandel to depict a painted world. When Gale came upon the Pygmy Lords, he discovered that their blood had long ago dried and so consumed the Dark Soul. The Pygmy Lords. So I presume that's what these thrones are all about. And that must be also what these bodies are about. Because I seem to recall when the boss fight started, he threw someone at us, a la the intro for the Artorias fight. So it would seem that, he was not especially pleased with with the fact that the Pygmy Lords, which is a thing I didn't know existed, and I presume no one did, but wow. So this would seem to have been sort of the Pygmy Lord equivalent of Firelink, based on the thrones and how they're arranged around, and there's one that's completely missing here. I don't really have any tips other than when he does the attack that sees him jump into the air and lunge towards you, you're better off rolling back, because then that way you don't have to run after him to attack him after he misses. So if you dodge the attack backwards, then you'll land basically right in front of him and be able to take him out. As usual, I don't know that we deserved to win there, because it was kind of sloppy. I got really greedy at the end, but we did it, so yay. So my recording, as I mentioned, I've been fighting him for about 45 minutes. So my recording's at 48 minutes right now. I don't think I'm going to include... I don't think I'm going to do a death montage this time around, just because they're very time-consuming doing them and trying to figure out an entertaining way to do it. So I'll probably just leave in the last attempt. But rest assured, I was fighting Gale for about 45 minutes, and it was nuts. Great boss fight, but just, again, there's basically no time to breathe in the second phase at all. So before we continue exploring this area, I don't know that there's much left to explore, but I do want to make sure that's the case. Let's go see what his soul will give us, and then also go speak with the painter. Yeah, we also had to level up to level 130. I put another 10 levels into dexterity so that we could get some additional damage. Not a whole lot, it was only like 10 points, but... Repeating crossbow. This crossbow, customized for repeat firing to face mobs alone, was wielded by Slave Knight Gale. Used in the battles of an endless journey, this crossbow is covered with twists and dinks, rusted with blood, and made extremely brittle from overuse. Skill Repeat Fire assumes stance to activate repeat firing mechanism and repeat fire with normal and strong attacks. And we can also get Gale's Greatsword, Greatsword of Slave Knight Gale, the only weapon that he kept with him from beginning to end. Originally an executioner's sword made for decapitation, this blade is heavily chipped and stained with the blood of countless battles. Skill Blade of Peril, a precarious technique unique to Undead Gale. Leap in any direction, slamming the greatsword to the ground, then follow with a normal attack for a large spinning slash, or a strong attack to backstep and jump forward in an overhead slam. That sounds like it would be a good weapon in PvP if you knew what you were doing, and how to handle it.
Ah, well met, Ashen One. How may I be of service?
Do you have anything new? I was thinking maybe she would have Gale's set. Oh no, but we already have Gale's set, that's right. It was in the Corvian settlement, so duh. Alright.
Ashen One, be sure.
Yeah. Okay, let's go see what's up to the painter. Hi, friend. I don't know that I've seen that animation before. It's like she's painting with her mind.
I wonder if Uncle Gale has found it. The pigment, colored like the dark soul of man.
He did. Your uncle did good.
My thanks, Ashen One. With this will I paint a world. Please tell me thy name. I would name this painting after thee.
I am the soul of reprisal, so I don't know that I have a name. I exist, or at least this bill was supposed to exist solely to, deal with sinners. So I have no name.
I see. We are much alike. Then I will name this painting Ash. 'Twill be a cold, dark, and very gentle place. And one day, it will make someone a goodly home.
So, yeah. That's one of the reasons why I was so hesitant when people were throwing around names for the painter. It's just like, why don't we just call her the painter? It's much simpler. And as it turns out, she doesn't have a name. Be careful, your hair's going to catch on fire. That's not good. Unless it's flame retardant for some reason. So yeah, she's going to name it Ash in our honor.
I wonder when Uncle Gale intends his return. I hope the new painting will be to him a gentle home.
Oh, man. Can we not break the news to her?
My thanks, Ashen One. I will assuredly finish the painting of a cold, dark, and very gentle place. One day, it will make someone a goodly home. My thanks, I will...
Okay. Take care. Watch your hair again, please. So, yeah, I'm not sure that I'm fully processing everything that has happened in this DLC as of yet. In part because it was about 23 hours ago when I started actually recording this playthrough. So I am just exhausted, and my back is killing me from sitting in this chair for so darn long. And after having dealt with, that boss fight, which was just so incredibly, I don't want to say frustrating, but just, it was tough. It was very, very tough. So, like, I spent about 45 minutes. I don't think it was as bad as the boss fight that took place in this room, in my blind playthrough of Ashes of Ariandel, but, yeah, it was tough. So, as always, it will take some time for me to sort of formulate my thoughts and, get a sense of what the story is trying to tell us here, and to give you some more fully fleshed out opinions on sort of the DLC as a whole, as well as this installment of it in particular, the Ring City. Of course, we still have a lot of loose ends to tie up, so let's go get started on that now. Okay, so it's now the following day. And I'm almost certain that, and I mentioned this last time I came here when we got the stone-humped hag's ashes, that, I'm reasonably certain that wasn't a thing previously. But, my back was killing me so bad yesterday, I had to stop playing. Of course, that didn't stop me from editing together the first 4 episodes of the series, all of which have been uploaded, but none of which have been published yet, because, I'm not going to do that until I'm finished recording the entire thing, for the reasons already outlined in the first episode of the series. So we are now actually playing online, and the reason for that is so that we can have the benefit of the messages, the soapstone messages. And I spent a bit of time thinking about and trying to process the things that we've been seeing throughout the course of this playthrough. And so we've already been up here and dealt with that Merc Knight. No, they had a specific name and it wasn't that. These are the Merc Men. But the thought I had to do with the soapstone messages, which we'll get to in a second. I like that the corpse, from which... No. Although I should probably see what happens when they do successfully pull you down. I would presume that you would die, but... I'm reasonably certain we've caught everything in here. But it's curious that I'm not seeing any messages here. Unless I need to quit and reload. No, there's a bloodstain. So we're definitely online. So with the benefit of the messages, my hope is that we'll be able to figure out all the things that we've missed. And that's something that's worth keeping in mind if you were watching the earlier episodes of this series and thinking, oh, why isn't he finding things? And it's due in part to the fact that, I was playing offline, so I didn't have the benefit of the player messages that are often very helpful in guiding you in where you need to go. Although, perhaps equally as often, just very cryptic and nonsensical. I should also mention that it's that time of year again, as I alluded to in past episodes. Whoa. So I was right. about this place basically being just a big pile of dregs, human dregs. And that confirms it, the fact that they drop human dregs. So that's pretty cool, but also sad and depressing at the same time. Yeah, it's that time of year again where it's starting to get really hot outside because, you know, climate change. And yet the legislation in Toronto and in Ontario more broadly is basically 2 or 3 decades behind in terms of the temperature at certain times of year. So my landlords are technically legally obligated, but I would argue otherwise, to keep the heat on until June 1st. So for the next 2 months, I'm likely to complain a lot about the heat in my apartment. Right now it's 26 degrees Celsius, which isn't bad, but it's getting hotter, and 78 degrees Fahrenheit for those of you in the US. Yeah, and all that is to say that I need to have my window open, even though they're building a new student center, like right outside my apartment, or right next to my apartment, so you might hear some loud noises and things like that. So the messages. This is something that, you know, if you watched Bloodborne Let's Talk Lore and to a certain degree in Dark Souls 3 Let's Talk Lore so far, you know that I'm very intrigued by the messages, and in particular the developer messages. What does this one say? Be wary of tough enemy. Thank you. But you can see right here the difference between them. This one just sort of has a neutral orange glow coming off of it. Whereas this one has a bunch of skulls. And so it makes sense that it would be different, because even though it's integrated into the game's menu system in a way that it wasn't in Dark Souls 1, you actually had a orange soapstone. So what the soapstone is something that we'll need to talk about, but it's very clear to me based on the skulls that we see emanating from the messages that were written by Gale. Because one of the things that, you know, we've questioned is whether or not, you know, X person or Y person is an unkindled. And it's clear that Slave Knight Gale isn't. And one of the you know, the positive tests that we developed for figuring out who is an unkindled is whether or not their summon signs appear when you use embers, because it says that with the Strength of Fire, the summoning signs of unkindled become visible. So there's an action word there, becoming visible. And Gale's summon sign in front of the Lady Elfrida boss fight doesn't become visible when you use an ember. It's always visible, similar to the summon sign of the Firekeeper when you're summoning her for the Dark Ending. It doesn't matter if you're kindled or not, her summon sign is always visible. So another thing I questioned was just whether or not, when we find developer messages, trying to figure out whether or not the messages are all written by unkindled ones or champions of Ash. And this would seem to be a confirmation that they're not, because, or at least that they don't have to be. Because, you know, Slave Knight Gale left all these messages, and he's clearly not an unkindled. But what would seem to be the case is if we look at the pattern that we saw in his cape, that after he, you know, he goes into the second phase where he goes, oh, is this the blood of the Dark Soul? And then, you know, we see this exact same sort of skull pattern emanating from his cape, and he uses it in several of his attacks and things like that. So all of this is to say that it seems clear to me that Slave Knight Gale was writing these messages, not with the pigment that we've already given to the painter. So he was writing these messages with the Dark Soul pigment, and I think that is such a cool touch, and really sort of, you know, is another spot where gameplay mechanics and story are brought into such close they're brought so closely together. That, yeah, that is just very, very cool, and you know, a very consistent in the world way of having him direct us otherwise. Because another thing I was wondering was, why isn't it just like our messages, whereas our messages, okay, this person didn't use it, but with our messages we can use gestures. So you see this one. Could this be a bug? By the way, old codger is pointing to an untextured rock in the Archdragon Peak, and the gesture that I use for that is point down. For this one, it was re-wall head, point forward, try left, and then ladder, jump for joy. So he could, you know, one of the things I was thinking is, why doesn't his thing emanate from the message? And the first explanation for that would be that when you do that, I'm reasonably certain that it's similar to the Ghost Phantoms, where there's only a set number of armor sets, and it's sort of vaguely resembles the character that you were using when you first created that message, and they wanted to make it very, very clear that it was Slave Knight Gale directing you. So that's one thing. And the second thing is just that, yeah, he doesn't seem to have written these messages in the same way that we write ours. Because we're using an actual soapstone, and he's using the Dark Soul Man as a pigment. So, again, really, really cool little touch, I thought. Okay, so I want to say we went in there last time, so Visions of Rings, so we might have missed a ring over here. Thanks to the butterfly. Hidden path ahead, ha ha ha. Ring of Steel Protection, +3. And I don't believe we can drop down here. I want to say that there was... the reason why we didn't come here was that the butterfly was shooting at us. Oh, that's so cool. Look, you can see the Earthen Peak bonfire right down there. And here we saw the Lothric Knights. Whoa. Okay, so this is different, because previously they were venerating a friend, or, you know, a comrade or someone. And because that pillar crashed down after we were in this room previously, now they're just sort of staring at an empty spot. Oh, so you can't actually aggro them one at a time. I shot the wrong one last time. And the buff that the spear wielding one uses appears to have, he appears to have done that with the spear that he has. Which I don't believe we've picked up at any point, but could be remembering that wrong. Oh, so this opens up another path that we did. Okay, so they are single spawn then, because that right there is where we found the grotesque thing that was controlling the butterfly. Who are you? Wow, an NPC we missed entirely. It looks like the Ruin Sentinel set, but different. It almost looks like, I want to say Prince something or other from Demon Souls? Bolitarian Prince?
Oh, look at you. You've got your head screwed on correct. Fantastic. To meet a kindred spirit on this God's forsaken crag. Call me Lap. I can't remember my real name, so let's just go with that. I have a feeling we're going to make a fabulous team. Oh, you'll see. You'll see.
Okay, so I'm almost certain that this is the voice actor for Patches. The same voice actor. And I don't... I know he's done other characters, like he did Lautrec, I think. But I don't know that that is the best decision, because anyone who's familiar with Patches' voice will immediately be skeptical of this person and their goals, aims, and ambitions. At least in my view, so yeah.
Oh, in all honesty, there's something I should tell you. I'm a hollow. Yes. I try to play it off, but I haven't a clue about my past, who I was, or what I lived for. Not even my own blessed name. That's why I've come here, searching for the Purging Monument. Said to be in the Ringed City, where the pygmies who found the Dark Soul at the Dawn of Fire reside. All I can say is, those little stones aren't doing much to help me remember anymore.
So he's talking about the Purging Stones. Presumably, ash-colored stone encasing a skull reduces undead curse buildup and cures hollowing. Inhabitants of Londor, the Land of Hollows, use this secret treasure to feign normalcy. Occasionally, a hollow fools even himself and turns on his own kind. So, something else I've been thinking about, and I know I said I wasn't going to be doing any fun with definitions segments, but just this one. Just because, you know, I was thinking about the intro to Dark Souls 1 and trying to think of the different things that we know about the pygmies. And one of the things that I was thinking about is, why was the furtive pygmy so easily forgotten, as we're told in the intro to Dark Souls 1? And so that led me to just think about the word furtive and what the heck it means. And we see that it means attempting to avoid notice or attention, typically because of guilt or belief that discovery would lead to trouble. So that very much describes, I guess, the purpose of the Ringed City. So, you know, it sort of makes sense that the Ringed City isn't a place we would have gone to in Dark Souls 1, because for whatever reason, I guess just, you know, presumably as some sort of peace offering, that Gwyn, you know, he gifted the Ringed City, an isolated place at World's End, to the pygmies. And, you know, gave them his beloved youngest daughter, which I don't recall there ever being a youngest or an oldest daughter. So is that supposed to be Guinevere? I'm very confused by all that, and I'm sure there's a lot of people rolling their eyes going, oh my gosh, it's so obvious, you should have figured this out episodes ago. But I'm still, you know, trying to wrap my head around all of that and everything that we've seen here. In part because, yeah, like I recorded the previous 8 episodes in a 24-hour time span when I was exhausted, so yeah, that's part of it too. But you know, in his case, he also seems to be, you know, avoiding notice or attention because he's a hollow. But I don't know.
Well, that's the long and short of it. So if I completely forget who you are, don't be wroth with me. Come on, what else can I say? I'm a bloody hollow, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, that is almost certainly the same voice actor. I'll have to verify that, but I'm almost certain that's the guy who plays Patches, whose name is lost on me at the moment, so I apologize.
Well,
okay, so I guess he's gonna turn on us a little bit later. It's a shame that we missed that the first time around. I apologize for that. Because yeah, I do remember something crashing down, but then I got freaked out by the thing that was controlling the butterflies, and so I just sort of kept going and didn't consider that probably had opened another path somewhere. So I presume this is how we get that item that was near the bonfire, maybe? You are floating. What? What just happened there? My camera just went all weird. I don't know what that was. Enemy ahead. Whoa. Oh. Oh, I should have taken off my... Gosh darn it. I should have taken off my Covenant thing. Okay. So that's a pretty apt demonstration of the reason why I abandoned the PvP, or the originally intended PvP centricity of this build, because, yeah. Just as they've implemented, it doesn't really work all that well. Oh, is this for... So, this would seem to be a platform from which we're meant to very early on learn about the plunging attacks that we can do on these guys, I guess. So again, just stellar game design. And the fact that, you know, as I mentioned earlier, the design of those enemies who are called, what was it? The Herald Knights. Very cleverly designed in that fighting them very much prepares you for fighting the final boss of this area. And speaking of bosses, I also realized that we've not, other than that one encounter we had with the dragon where we knocked him off the ledge, we've not yet... What the... I love that attack. That is such a cool attack. Yeah, we've not come into contact with that dragon again. So I do wonder whether that's something that we've still yet to do. I want to say that Dahlia probably knows what this is. I think she described it as, in Bloodborne Let's Talk Lore when we were in the Chalice Dungeons, as a circle of protection or something like that. So Dahlia, if you're watching, let us know. Okay, so... I think we need to find some way to climb up those... arch trees there. We have been over here previously. So I don't know how I'm going to edit this all together, but I will try to... because I'm at about 25 minutes of my present recording, and my intent was to make none of these episodes any longer than an hour, but insofar as this is going to be the finale, I'm okay with it exceeding an hour in length, so... but yeah, I don't know how much stuff we have yet to do still, so... Torch required ahead. Don't tell me. So that's obviously a reference to the fact that I didn't complete my thought about this the other, in an earlier episode. I think it was the 3rd episode, where, yeah, this is where, you know, a reference to in Dark Souls 2, when you had to burn the windmill in order to drain the poison from the area, or in particular to drain the poison from the boss room where we fought, what was her name? The Baneful Witch. Gosh, I think I played Dark Souls 2 more than, if not, like, very close to the amount of time I played Dark Souls 1. And yet, oh, there's our friend.
Oh, I know who you are. Great to see you still in one piece. I can see why they call this the Dreg Heap at the world's end. Mangled remnants from every age and every land. It actually sort of lends credence to the old rumors that the ringed city rests below it all. Don't mind me. You needn't worry yourself with this nonsense. I just wanted to tell someone. and I'm sick of old Humpty. I should stay quiet. Wait, I'll make it up to you. By letting you in on a secret of sorts. Past here, you'll find the remains of a giant earthen tower, half submerged in a poisonous swamp. Not a very nice place to visit. Only, there's precious treasure in the thick of the swamp. I didn't have any use for it, you see. So, sorry, I left the whole package behind. If I get the chance, I could go fetch it for you. But if that's too long to wait, go nab it for yourself. I know who you are. A righteous warrior. Yes? With a solemn duty to boot. Well, grab that treasure. That's as good a duty as any.
What? He's not even pretending to be someone other than Patches. Like, what the fuck? Are you serious, friend? Are you serious? You can't be serious, can you? Oh. Okay. So he has the split-leaf greatsword, a long-handled greatsword that made its way from a distant land, crafted entirely with steel, making it exceedingly heavy. Split-leaf refers to the shape of the great blade and its resemblance to the veins of a leaf. And he also, that looks strikingly like the Pursuer's greatsword, which I think in this game is called the Curse Ward greatsword, but it looks slightly different, like it's a variation of it. Are you Patches, friend? And that's not a greatsword at all, is it? No, it's a halberd. That is so strange.
Past here, you'll find the remains of a giant earthen tower. Not a very nice place to visit.
Alright. Okay, Patches, not Patches. I will go do that. Enjoy standing there awkwardly. Sniper spot. Oh, can we see the... Which way is this message facing? Oh, it's facing this way. Well, it's not much of a sniper spot because... and reason number one, beyond gameplay, why I freaking hate these butterflies and their attacks, is that it is such a pain in the rear to edit the video around this. Because if you've never noticed, I do my best to ensure that when I'm talking, the game audio is lower, and when, so that, I'm not talking over something that's really loud such that you can't hear what I'm saying. And dealing with these gosh darn... the noise that their attacks make, the episode when we first came across these things took forever to edit because of that. Because it's constantly having to take one, the game audio, lowering it, and then splitting it again, and then making it louder, and so if I'm not talking the entire time, then, I have to constantly adjust it, and it's just a huge pain in the rear. So we still have yet to find the thing that's controlling this butterfly here. And of course, even though I put a correction on the screen in that earlier episode, I think again it was episode 3. Put a correction on the screen stating that there was in fact curse buildup when we were cursed right here, but it was very, very quick. Okay, so we're looking for a tower that we somehow missed previously. Okay, we're going to avoid the Herald Knights as best as we can. Oh, and we still have to deal with Zoe. Okay, but I do want to find the thing that is controlling that butterfly. Oh, where are you? Most annoying enemy in the game. I feel pretty confident saying that. I don't know that there's a more annoying enemy than those butterflies. And again, that's informed just in part by the fact that it's such a pain in the rear to edit video when those things are constantly shooting at you. Just because it's so ear-piercingly loud. So I think for this episode, I'm just gonna keep the game audio low while dealing with them. I wonder if Patches the Second is gonna show up and help us out. I'm convinced I missed something on this roof over here, and it's probably... So it looks like there's several places I can climb up these roots. You bastard. Huh? It's a you bastard. So is this where Patches is gonna... Oh, I think it was... I think because this is where the one... The worm thing was that was controlling the butterfly. So do we just keep ascending here? The question is to where? No. Seriously? I can't find it.
Past here, you'll find the remains of a giant earthen tower. Well, grab that train.
Alright. So yeah, so it makes sense that I was so confused about the whole... Actually, let's remove our Dark Moon Blade thing. We'll put on the Way of Blue just in case we get invaded. So it makes sense that I would have been so confused about the whole... Okay, it does seem like we still have lots to do, so I'm going to end this episode here, and we're just going to wrap everything up in the next episode. So thank you all very, very much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.